Welcome back to the Foundry. Well, the Gen 10 F150 is back in the shop, and today I'm going to try to fix a problem that's been plaguing me for the last couple of years. The instrument cluster, it appears to me, has some type of internal connection problem. So what happens is you turn the key on, the gauges flicker, and it does not activate the fuel pump. So you have to knock on the cluster, it makes contact, the gauges sweep, then it'll start up and run fine. And it's gotten to where now it's doing it while I'm going down the road. The gauges will start flickering. Fortunately, it doesn't die after that initial start. It'll stay running, but it's just kind of an inconvenience. So I guess we're going to dig into this thing and see what's wrong with it. So my hope with this project is that I can fix this on my own without having to send the cluster off. That would be ideal. I really don't have a good place to park it while it's down in the event that I send it off. You're looking at about a 3-week turnaround at least. And I just really don't want to have to deal with that. Now, I've heard of a lot of people having problems with these Gen 10s in terms of electrical issues. I guess I've been pretty fortunate. I haven't had many issues other than I did a video on the multifunction switch connector, and other than that, mine's been pretty solid. The whole truck's been pretty solid. Now, one thing I got going for me here is this truck is a manual transmission, so I don't have to fool with the gear indicator or anything like that, so that should be helpful. Also, always disconnect your battery when you're doing electrical work or some type of repairs of that nature, which I did before I got started, hence why the hood's up. Got to be very careful with this stuff. There's little tabs and stuff that could easily break. This is 22-year-old plastic. A lot of people don't realize it on these Gen 10s, but the plastic is actually painted. It's black underneath, so when you scratch it, you got black that comes up. These are little spots that I'll probably touch up. The number of bolts in this thing is crazy, but they're all the same size, so they're easy to keep up with what goes where. But once you get your shroud off of here, the cluster itself has 4 more, 1 in each corner. I actually took out a couple that I don't think I even needed to, but I absolutely despise interior work. Every man should carry a telescopic magnet in their pocket. All right, are we there yet? Oh yeah, here we go. Get these electrical connectors off the back of it here. All right, see if we can get this thing out. Clock it just right. I think it'll come on out of here. Maybe it's easier if you take this cover off. I don't know. My first time doing this. So I want to inspect these plugs because I had an issue with a plug in the column for the multifunction switch. I got a video on that, and that drove me up the wall. These look pretty good. All right, a visual inspection of my plugs on this side, they appear to be in good shape. So from what I've read, most of the problems center around some soldering points that are inside on the board. So we're going to take this into the clean room and disassemble it and see if we can figure out where our bad connection is. All right, we've transitioned to the clean room. A clean room is something that every shop should have. It's a place where I go when I want to work on clean stuff. Now, I'm going to use a T20 to take this apart. Haven't done one of these before. I'm not exactly sure which set of screws, the back or the front. I can see that the board in there, the board that I'm after, it looks like there's two of them. There's a tan colored one back here, or maybe that's just the back of the green one I'm after. I don't know. We're just going to tear into this thing and see what happens. I think I'm going to go at it from this way first. Maybe I won't damage it to where it's unrepairable, in which case I'd have to get another cluster, lose my mileage on the odometer, and then have to get it flashed at the dealer. So I don't know if that involves towing the truck up there, I guess, because it's not going to run without this cluster. Now the 97 and 98 models, I believe, still had, and I don't know if you'd call it analog or what, but the cluster wasn't as integral with the computer system. But the 99s and up, like mine's an 02, have that electronic, there's an acronym for it or whatever, I can't remember what it's called. I don't really want to know, to be honest. I hate electrical stuff, and I especially hate interior stuff. All right. Here's the board, the back of it. I think the thing just pops off of there. I don't want to flex it too much. If I'm screwing up here, y'all let me know in the comments. That way I'll see it when it's too late and I'll just feel bad about myself. Okay, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. There's a little plug here that I don't want to leave connected because I need to be able to take this off and work with it. So it looks to me like you just wiggle this thing a little bit. Probably should have did it before I loosened the circuit board. Like so. Good deal. I don't think I destroyed anything. All right, so this is very, very fine. In fact, I may need to get a magnifying glass. And what I'm going to be looking for are loose solder points that involve the two plugs. I think this one here is the plug that I just undid. That appears to go to the odometer. And I'm not having any problem with the odometer. I'm not having any problem with any specific gauge. It's more or less a connection issue among all of them. So I'm going to inspect these real close and see what we find. My viewfinder is really small on this camera, so it's difficult for me to see if it's even in focus. But if you look to the end of that black piece of plastic I've got laying across the board, there's a solder joint there, and it appears to be either cracked all the way around it, or there's just simply not enough solder there. When they assembled the board, I'm really not sure. I don't even know if this is my actual problem, but it's the only thing I can find. I've checked all the known areas on the board. Typically what you would want to look for would be these joints here. This is where the main plug in the back of from the harness plugs into the back of the cluster, and these all appear to be tight and in good shape. There's another plug over here, same situation with them. This is the side that you have to tap on to get the thing to come on, and of course that I've already lost it. This is so fine. Yeah, right here. Of course this one is on the right side, so I'm kind of hoping this is it. Now it's very, very small. My regular solder iron is a little too the tip on it's too big. So I went to Harbor Freight and I bought a woodworking, they claim it's for crafts and hobbies and whatnot, but it'll also solder. I put that tip on it. It's not hot yet, but I'm thinking that'll be good enough to get this hot, and I can put a little dab on there, but it's just got to be a tiny dab. If I go over too much, it'll overlap other circuits. So this is really going to put my soldering capabilities to the test. As I suspected, there wasn't enough solder there. As soon as that hot iron touched that little pin or teat, it almost just fell through the board. There really wasn't hardly any solder on it. So I put that little dab on there. I don't know if it'll come across on the camera, but it almost looks like it needs a little bit more, but I'm just a little bit concerned about trying to do any more, because you can instantly burn through one of these little gold stripes. My soldering capability is just not what I would consider anywhere approaching the professional level. So I do have some solder on it. I believe it may be better than it was before. Hopefully it's not worse. So I thought what I would do, I've gone over this whole board with fine-tooth magnification. That's the only issue I could find on the entire board. So I think I'm going to put it back together, plug it into the truck, and just test it. And let's really hope that solved it. Otherwise, I'll have to take it back out, maybe put a little bit more on it, try it again, so forth, so on. And it's, again, also possible that this wasn't even the issue. So let's give it a shot. All right, let's see if we did any good here. So far, so good. Excellent. So I don't yet know whether or not my little soldering job has actually solved my issue, because it's an intermittent issue. It only happens once every 5 or 6 times that I get in the truck to go somewhere. However, I feel pretty good about it. On the other side of that joint that I was soldering is a capacitor. It's one leg of a capacitor. And the issue I believe we were having was power related. So I've got high hopes. I'm going to drive it for a couple of days and report back. And in the meantime, there's one more thing I want to do to this truck while it's in the shop. It's also somewhat electronic. It's also interior, things that I hate. But I want to go ahead and get it done while I've got it here. And hopefully this all is resolved and I won't have to mess with this thing again for another 20 years. All right, so what I'm using here is a Pioneer, let's see, MVH S310BT. BT's for Bluetooth. So why is this thing a pile of crap, and why am I getting rid of it? Well, 2 reasons. One, it's impossible to make it sound good. The EQ on this thing is so unreasonably elaborate. And granted, I was a sound tech for like 12 years, a voluntary sound tech. I didn't do it professionally, but I do know something. I've got a good ear, and I know how to set an EQ. I can't make this thing sound good. It's just barely tolerable, so that's reason enough right there. Number 2, what is super irritating is it loses Bluetooth memory every other time you turn the key off. It's wired up correctly. I followed the instructions. It will work sometimes it won't, but it's a pain in the neck. I'm getting rid of it. And I'm replacing it with this Alpine UTE 73BT. This is the same unit that I've got in the rammer, and I love it. It always maintains Bluetooth memory. The EQ is super simple and it sounds good. So hopefully I can use the install kit that's already in the truck, because I didn't buy one. And hopefully this will be a pretty easy installation. All right, battery disconnected. My lighting in here sucks, so if it's too bad, I'll probably just skip past this part of the video. But I was just trying to remember how this thing come out of here. I'm pretty sure the bezel pops out, and I've got a toggle switch right there, so I don't want to break anything with that. And we've got the unit here. Man, it looks like it almost didn't have, this bezel almost didn't have to come out. I don't know. It's been so long since I've done this. I'm just going to fumble my way through it. But I have to be careful not to screw up this switch bank here. It's built into the mount kit for the stereo. And it seems like last time I messed that up and I had to glue it. I don't know. I'm just trying to do this without destroying with this. Oh man, look at that. The paint is flaking off of my plastic. That's not what I wanted to happen. I'm trying to do this by destroying as few of the plastic components as possible. This is all still out until I know my cluster's good. And I may have destroyed my headlight switch by bashing my kneecap into it inadvertently. And yes I did. It's broke. Wonderful. Let's just see if I can just finish it out and total the truck, just trying to change the radio. So I did manage to get it out without destroying any more of the interior components besides the headlight switch. I didn't realize that there was such a significant size difference. It's been so many years since I installed this, I forgot how small it was. It looks like 2018. So yeah, let's, I believe the dimensionally around this should slide back in there. And it's a matter of hooking it up right. So this turned out to be the nightmare I knew it was going to be. The good news is I've only got to replace like 300 butt splices. Had it been 301, now that would have been a deal breaker. But it's only 300, so yeah, I'll get busy on that. All these additional wires make it complicated. Those go to all those switches you just saw. And then, of course, the Bluetooth microphone does not plug into the new stereo, so this wire will have to be rerun through the dash up here. So that'll be great fun. And then I got to remember which way the RCA wires plug in. And then, of course, you've got your radio antenna. So yeah, I'm gonna get busy chopping and resplicing, and maybe I'll be done sometime next year.
2,000 years later.
All right, well, I've been driving this thing now for the past couple weeks, and I am happy to report our cluster problems have been solved. I've also got the Alpine head unit installed. Everything about that went well, and it sounds good. I do have a couple little spots on the dash I need to touch up, but other than that, this is all sewn up. I've got a new location for the Bluetooth mic. I put it here instead of using this one up here, and because the one up there, it never really sounded good. I always got complaints when I was on phone calls. So we're going to see how it does right here. Maybe it'll be shielded from wind noise and so forth. Also, I was able to secure the purchase of a new headlight switch. I was not able to purchase a new kneecap, but I did get a headlight switch. This was a bit of a debacle. The first one took 10 days to come in, super slow shipping. And when it arrived, it was broken in the same spot mine was. So I had to send that one back. I ordered a different one from a different seller. It took another 10 days to come in. So this has just been a drawn out deal, just waiting on the headlight switch so I could put all this back together. But overall, very happy. These are things that I've been wanting to get done now for the last, I don't know, however long that's been acting up, at least 2 years. Same for the stereo. And so finally, the interior is completely finished. You've seen in my previous videos when we put the new seats in, power bucket seat, very nice, very comfortable. So yeah, this truck is ready to go once again. And if you enjoy the truck content here at the Foundry, or perhaps my fumbling repairs or low-key sarcasm, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing, because there'll be more to come. But until then, you guys take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Pretty tight squeeze up in there. This is a time I wish I had little beta hands. Now I think I'll do just fine with what I got.